Yo, what's up guys? And today is going to be kind of like a surprise video. Last night I was recording some matches with Shadow Rider, and I noticed there's a lot of dark Pokemon, and a lot of Pokemon that are weak to grass. So with that being said, I'm not just going to do a Leafeon video. I think we're going to pull something else out of the box of secrets. So don't leave, because you're not going to believe the results. Yo, what's poppin', my tree huggers? Today we're going to be talking about a grass deck that I think doesn't see a lot of play. Of course, one of the main grass decks that we see being played right now is Leafeon VMAX. And outside of the stadiums and everything, once Leafeon VMAX loses all that, it essentially becomes useless. With Umbreon running around, Moltres being in almost every deck, I see potential for a grass deck to start flourishing. With that being said, we're going to talk about our co-main attacker, Dhelmise VMAX. For 1 grass energy, this Pokemon does 30 damage for every grass energy attached to it to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Whether that be in the active or the bench, it's knocking out some Pokemon anywhere it wants to be. Its second attack, which is kind of like, it's a good attack, but it's not the main attack we're going to be using this for, is Max Anchor. For 2 grass energies and 1 colorless, you're doing 240 and you cannot use this attack next turn. And that's kind of the reason why we're not going to be playing that as much. And like I said, it's a co-main attacker because the other attacker is Leafeon VMAX. Grass Knot for 1 grass energy and 1 colorless does 60 for each colorless spot in your opponent's retreat cost. So whether that's 3, that's 180. That's 2, that's 120. And as you see, it's kind of weak up front. It does the damage, but it's not a one-shot capabilities unless you pair it up with something else. Our main support line in this deck is Rillaboom. You might have seen this before, like kind of those Rowlet Executor decks that used to be around, but now it came back. With Voltage Beat, once during your turn, you can grab 2 grass energies from your deck and put it on any Pokemon you want. I know we do see this in the format right now, but usually it only goes to the bench, and you have to rely on supporters to put energies anywhere else. With Rillaboom, you don't have to. Rillaboom can put 2 energies on the active or 2 energies on the bench. But keep in mind, those 2 energies have to go on that Pokemon. So if you already have 2 energies on Leafeon, I highly suggest you don't use this on Leafeon, unless you really need to attack. Of course, it does a lot of damage as well. For 4 energies, 3 grass and 1 colorless, it does 140. That's pretty good to knocking out Pokemon that are, exclude damage from VMAXs. So it's a pretty good attack. And then we have 1 Crobat for draw power. As you see, we don't have an Inteleon line. We don't have any outside cards to search for cards, other than our trainers and supporters. So our Pokemon are kind of like attackers and energy grabbers. And the thing I want to talk about is Leafeon V. The Green Cells ability allows you to grab 1 grass energy from your deck, put on one of your Pokemon, and your turn ends. That is really well with the synergy of putting in energy and use Green Cells to set up your attackers for next turn. And not only can you put 1 grass energy on any Pokemon, it helps out a lot. Especially if you put 1 grass energy on Leafeon and 1 grass energy on Dhelmise. Now you split your opponent's field of vision. So which one are they going to go for? They'll probably go for Leafeon first, which is okay. That's what we want. Leafeon V does that, and then we're going to go Dhelmise V. I like using this attack called Anchor Anger. It does 30 damage, but if you have a grass Pokemon that was knocked out, it does 90 more. So that's 120 damage. Now think about this. You have a Grookey in your active. Your opponent knocks out the Grookey. You bring up Dhelmise. You put a grass energy. You're hitting for 120. If that Pokemon is weak to grass, you're hitting for 240. And that's a knockout on most Vs. So with that being said, that was all our Pokemon. We're going to get into the trainers. So as you see, our Pokemon line is not that heavy. It's 18, but we do have a heavy energy count, so we're gonna have to make cuts here and there. We have 1 energy recycler because in some cases where you do get knocked out and all those grass energies go into your discard pile, you're gonna need to put those grass energies back in your deck so you could voltage beat. Or if you're trying to retreat and you have to get rid of those grass energies, you can voltage beat and put those energies back in there. And like, It's good synergy. It's good to have one. You play more than one, it's gonna start clogging up your hand. So I wouldn't suggest playing more than one. We have 4 Evolution Incense because we want to get our Leafeon VMAXs. We want to get our Dhelmise VMAXs. We want to get our Rillabooms. We want to get that stuff out as fast as possible. Because our VMAXs are our main attackers and Rillaboom is the one who's putting all the energies, it's very, very important that you get those out as soon as possible. And we run 2 Great Balls. And now this is what I talk about. We have to make cuts, and there's no sense of playing level ball. We only run 1 Thwackey, so it makes no sense not to run 3-4 level balls. Considering that Grookey and Thwackey would be the only Pokemon to be searched by it, it seems kind of a waste to me. So that's why we go with Great Ball. Great Ball looks at the top 7 cards of your deck, and if you find a Pokemon there, you can grab it. So now this is just not only good for grabbing, you know, just your basic Pokemon, it's good for grabbing other Pokemon like VMAXs. And of course, remember with 4 Quick Balls because it's very important to at least get one of your attackers out and a Grookey. If you can get a Grookey and another attacker, that's perfectly fine. I can start setting you up for when you run into rare candies. We use rare candies because Thwackey doesn't add anything to us. If we could, we would play no Thwackeys. But there's a reason why we play this one. Lay of the Land. If you have a stadium in play, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. So not only does it give you free retreat cost if your opponent plays something, but when you play your Galar Mine, you still have no retreat cost, so you can move freely. So that's why we only play 1 and 3 rare candies. We have switches because when we're switching, and when I talk about the strategy, it's important to switch because we're not running air balloons and we'll have Galar Mine down. Because when you have Galar Mine down, this Leafeon has 4 retreat costs, and this Dhelmise V has 5 retreat costs. So that's not energy costs you want to pay. You just want to switch out and get going. Like I said earlier, our stadium of choice is Galar Mine, and this is kind of like for the Leafeon synergy build. So like when you're playing Leafeon, Leafeon is your first attacker. You start knocking people for 240, even 300 possibly. And this is why I like this, because it kind of integrates some of the Leafeon VMAX deck with the outside Dhelmise and Rillaboom. So it's good synergy for both because there's 2 different types of strategies you can take with this deck. Or you can play the third strategy is the way I play. We played Boss's Orders, and not only just to bring something up because we have Dhelmise VMAX to attack the bench, but we want to boss up something that you can't retreat. Something preferably with like a lot of retreat cost. And that way, for example, if we're going against Mew, we bring up the Genesect. Now we can start targeting everyone on the bench because the Genesect can't leave the active spot. So those are kind of like checkmate positions that we get people into. And since we're not relying on Teleon, Machino, or anything like that, we run a heavy count of draw supporters. We have 4 Marnies and 4 Professor's Research. Marnie allows you to shuffle the cards in your hand, put them out on your deck, and draw 5 cards. Your opponent draws 4. Now, there's another good reason why we play 4 Marnies. If we have a bunch of grass energies in our hand, we can Marnie, put it back in our deck, voltage beat those grass energies that we had in our hand onto a Pokemon. So that's some synergy right there too. Professor's Research is just, you know, we're in the slump. We have a bad hand. We got Marnie into a bad hand. You're going to have to throw stuff away. So that's a way to dig in deeper into your deck. And then we mix this with Tool Jammer. 1, we don't want people using Big Charm and other cool things like that. And 2, we want to get rid of Air Balloon. As soon as we can get rid of Air Balloon with Galar Mine, now we're going to be swinging hard with Leafeon. So again, that's part of that Leafeon portion of the deck. And our energy count, 12 grass energies. I know what you're thinking. Why so many grass energies? Well, you'd be surprised how fast you can get grass energies out with this deck. When you start turn 1, you put your energy attachment for turn, Greeny Cells, that's 2 energies. You go second, again, or you go to your next turn, and you get a Rillaboom out, that's 2 energies per turn after that. On top of your 1 energy per turn. So the way I see it is your first turn should be 2 energies, and every turn after that should be 3. So that should bring you down to a total of 10 when you finish your first turn, and then you have 10 energies to deal with after that, and that's not including anything that's prized. On average, of the mini matches that I played already, after you do your first 2 energies, you have about 7 energies in the deck. And that's why I run a heavy count, because 7 allows 3 voltage beats, and having 7 energies on your Dhelmise VMAX does 210 damage. So if you can get an 8th energy, you're literally knocking out any V on the bench. With that being said, let's get into some games. So again, like I said, I was recording late at night, and I was recording Shadow Rider. And please excuse my nasally voice going on. It looks like I have allergies. So anyways, our opponent wins the coin flip, and we go first, and we only have one basic Pokemon to start with, and that's going to be Dhelmise V. We still don't know what our opponent's playing.
Bruh.
And it looks like it's a Mew. So our opponent does Fog Crystal right off the bat, gets another Mew. Safe to say they have 3 Mews down, and they attach a Psychic Energy. So now it's our turn. We end up with the Great Ball. With the Great Ball, we look at our hand, and you know, it's kind of okay. It's not the Leafeon that we're looking for, because remember, you always want to start out with the Leafeon. So we get our Grookey out. We put our Grass Energy on Dhelmise V, and we want to start doing some damage. So we hit him for 30. Not too crazy, it's whatever. And now it's our opponent's turn. They play down the Latias. Now they can exclude our damage from VMAXs. They use another Fog Crystal. So now there's 2 VMAXs on the field with the Fog Crystal. They fill the Fog Crystal. They boss the Zord out my Grookey. So our opponent didn't have anything to play. They just wanted to throw their Grookey down. And now we top deck the Leafeon. So, which is fine. Because we Rare Candy our Grookey, get the Rillaboom out. Because it's safe to say that if our opponent gets a Genesect or an Energy next turn, our Rillaboom is knocked out. So we kind of want to just get our energies out as fast as possible. You can see here I'm debating on whether to who to celebrate the energies to, because right now we have 2 good attackers. Those 2 energies would allow Leafeon VMAX to attack next turn, and those 2 energies will allow our Dhelmise VMAX to do its 240 attack. So we end up evolving our Dhelmise V, and then we use Greening Cells to attach an energy to our Leafeon. So this way, now we have split grass energies, and I don't know if our opponent is being sarcastic, but they hit us with the "you have a good deck." So our opponent retreats, and they end the turn. So then we evolve our Leafeon VMAX, and we voltage beat again. At this point, our opponent's allowing us to get free energies, and so now we attach the voltage beat to our opponent. And because I was really frustrated and not getting good cards, I end up using the stadium to shuffle my deck. So our opponent couldn't find anything either, so now it's our turn. So before we play Crobat, we want a voltage beat, because we want to make sure we don't get any grass energies in our hand. So now our Dhelmise is sitting there with 5 grass energies. So we have 8 grass energies on the field. We get Grookeys, so we play down the Grookey. And we're holding that Galar Mine, because we know our opponent's playing stadiums. There's no... He failed the stadium check twice, so there's no Genesect. But our opponent uses a quick ball, so it looks like he was just toying with us. Mew VMAX is a top tier deck, and this is some grass deck that's on the ladder. So of course, you know, people have to be the way they are. It's a little toxic. But he messed up in letting us get set up all the way. So he hits us with the Fusion Strike supporter, allowing him to put down multiple Fusion Strike energies. And with that, he switches out, and it looks like he's gonna knock out a Rillaboom. There's a power tablet. Look like he's staying out his hand so he can use Fusion Strike system. He does so for 4. It's a big Fusion Strike system. And then he quick ball. What does he throw away? Throws away a Capture Energy, grabs another Genesect. So at this point, he was flaunting that he had all this stuff in his deck, and I guess he was just toying with us. So he Rotom Phones. And now our opponent attacks. He's gonna hit us with Techno Blast, which knocks out our Rillaboom. Well, our Rillaboom did his job already. So we end up sending up the Leafeon VMAX, I believe, because we have the Tool Jammer and we have Galar Mine. So we put the Tool Jammer on, we drop the Galar Mine.
For the moment you've been waiting for.
We don't want to use the Thwackey because we want to make sure we fall into a Rare Candy and a Rillaboom, but that didn't happen. So we put down another Grookey just in case we get knocked out. And we end up doing the second attack because he only had 2 damage, so that'd only be 120. With the 30 damage we did earlier in the 170, now puts him at 200. So it requires our Dhelmise to have less energies to knock it out. So our opponent just sitting there, and he has 2 Mew VMAXs with full energies, and he has another Mew with 1 energy. He threw away a Capture Energy, and now he plays Cross Switcher. So he brings up my Crobat. Where do you think he can lock us in? But boy, oh boy, I have some news for this guy. As you see, we have 3 outs. We have a Marnie, Professor's Research, and a Switch. But he ends up knocking out our Crobat, which then we really don't need the Switch. And thinking he's safe because he can take more damage. But instead, we put up the Dhelmise VMAX. We have the Galar Mine. We end up Marnieing because we don't want to throw away all those Marnies. So we get a Grass Energy. We get 2 Evolution Incense and a Quick Ball. So we get the Grass Energy. Now we have 6. Now we're doing 180 damage. We grab the Rillaboom. And we use it again because we want to thin out the Rillabooms to make sure if we draw something, we draw a Rare Candy.
This is a certified hood classic.
Knock out that Mew that was sitting on the bench. Now the Mew wasn't protected. And that allows us to get 3 prizes, which are a Thwackey, a Grass Energy, which is good, and a Boss's Orders. So now this sets up our second phase of the deck. We have the Leafeon with the damage, and now our Dhelmise has a lot of energies. The Mew puts down Vitality Band, I'm assuming just within his hand, but we have Tool Jammer to prevent that. And like I said, we're setting up our second phase. He ends up bossing orders our Leafeon VMAX, plays Fog Crystal, grabs a Mew instead of energy, which is weird. Plays down the Mew, uses the Genesect to get a big 4 Fusion Strike system. Power Tablet. Now he's doing a lot of damage at this point. Quick Ball. Fails the Quick Ball. Throws away Peony. Another massive Fusion Strike system. Sends up the other Mew. Hits the Switch because I believe he did Techno Blast last turn. And then hits us with another Techno Blast for 270, I believe. Yes, 270. So we have the energy. We have another Grass Energy. So we put that on our Dhelmise. And we end up just retreating. Because there's no point attacking with Leafeon if we don't have Galar Mine. We bosses or the Genesect. We evolve into Thwackey. Throw away the Leafeon because we're not going to need it. what I should have done is grab that Dhelmise so I can thin out the deck. And we do swinging chain. And we do 210 to the Genesect, knocking it out, leaving us with only one prize left. Like the second phase I was speaking about, we bosses ordered a Pokemon that they can't retreat, and then we literally just feast on their bench. We only need one prize. We don't need to knock out a Mew. We don't need to knock out a Mew VMAX. We don't even need to knock out the active Pokemon. So at this point, we could literally just swinging chain the Latias, and that's the game. Even if they do find some way, like a switch or something, to hurt us, to come back in the active, they can do 210 damage. Whoop-de-doo. It doesn't matter because that Latias is our target at this point. And our opponent just kind of like, oh no, what's going on? And he takes his time because he know he lost, and he was flaunting that he never had a Genesect, but all of a sudden pulled 3 out of nowhere. So don't play with your opponent, please. And if you do, you're gonna look like this guy, a goofy. So we both just
No.
show the dominance, and now we're doing 270 to the bench. Knock out the Latias, and that's game. What can I say? It worked. It works really well. In a format that's trying to counter Mew VMAX and all that kind of stuff, Dark Pokemon are going to see its play, right? There's no way you can make a fighting and grass deck. It's just not going to work, especially with the current cards we have in our current set. But what we do have are efficient grass attackers other than Leafeon. So that allows you to maybe, open up a binder, kind of look through the cards and see what can be played. I'm guarantee you Rillaboom's not seeing play. Dhelmise definitely is not seeing play. Leafeon's seeing play. So hopefully this video kind of motivates you to kind of look at the cards and try to make up combos that aren't being played, because it will work. If a certain deck is dominating, another deck's going to come up. And that is the perfect opportunity to see what can I play to counter the meta. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe. I will be coming out with more content like always. Check the bio for the link to PokemonCard.io. That's where I upload all my decks. And I'll add another link to all my social media so you can follow me on TikTok and Twitter and all that kind of good stuff. And please try it out. And if you try it out and you love it, let me know. My next deck, hopefully, is Shadow Rider. I've been trying to play it, but there's been a lot of dark decks on the field. So I'm going to probably keep playing this deck on the ladder for a little bit until the dark decks start to die down. Again, thank you for your continued support, and have a nice day.